Hey, this is Walt from StogieReview.com here with another short Ashes cigar review. Trying to make the best of the limited time I have, so rather than do a full-blown review, I'm going to try to get a little bit of a backlog going on with some short Ashes reviews. So what is a short Ashes review if you're not familiar with them? Well, essentially I just take something that we've reviewed in the past, take another look at it, and see if it compares, or see how it compares to the original review, whether it was done by myself, Brian, Jerry, or potentially even a guest review. So with that said, I've got a cigar that came courtesy of Jerry in a recent massive package, and this is the Illusione Holy Lance. This is HL. It is Lancero size. It's I believe it's a 7.5 by 40. The price point on these run about $2.25 a box of 25, or about $45 for a 5-pack. At least that's that's pricing from what Jerry had mentioned in his video. So with that said, I'm going to take a really quick break to find out why my dog is barking, and I'll be back. We'll light up the Illusione HL, and you know, we'll get this thing rolling. So sit tight. Alright, well, I'm back. Found out what my dog was barking at. Must have had a squirrel or something run across the porch. I have a pit mix, and anytime anything comes near the porch, makes a noise outside, he's at the door ready to go. You know, the alarm goes off. But at any rate, my dog's quiet, gave him something to chew on, and now it's time to get started with the Holy Lance. So first and foremost, before I cut the cigar, I just want to look it over. And this cigar has seen better days. It's a little beat up. It's probably from traveling uncellophaned in a bag with some other cigars. It is definitely smokable, although it is a little banged up, a little worse for wear. You can see there's a little chip in the wrapper leaf there. There's a little bit of lifting on one of the seams down towards the foot. And I'm guessing it's just from being banged around a little bit. As you can see, there's a little bit of a tear, or maybe you can't, but there's a little bit of a tear in a portion of the wrap. It doesn't expose a binder or anything. It's a little on the lumpy side. As far as the color goes, it's relatively consistent. There's one sunspot down toward the foot, which is just a light colored speck, which is just a cosmetic issue. It really doesn't mean much of anything in as far as taste is concerned. Found one hollow spot right around where that sunspot is, or one soft spot I should say. Aside from that, it feels pretty good, pretty consistent. It's a little soft overall, but when I get into Lanceros, I don't mind the cigars being a little on the soft side. Generally, if they feel a little soft, it means the draw is going to be good. If the Lanceros are relatively firm and they feel kind of tight, a lot of times, you know, I feel like I really have to work to get any smoke out of the cigar at all. And when you take into account it's a 40 ring gauge, it really amplifies that stiffness in the draw. And it takes a lot of the fun out of the cigar for me. So, pre-light draw is perfect. Just a little bit of resistance to it, but right along the lines of what I like. Getting a little bit of a sweet flavor up front. So let's go ahead and light this and see how it goes. And as I mentioned, the pricing when this review was originally done by Jerry was $45 for a 5-pack, around $2.25 for a box of 25. And from what I understand, these are standard production. They're not like the ECCJ or anything where they were limited and no longer available. Unfortunately, there is no account anywhere near my home. The closest one is about 3 hours away, and since I do virtually no purchasing online, the frequency in which I smoke Illusione product is few and far between. Alright, so my cigar's lit, producing lots of smoke. So I've got a ton of email to catch up on, playing around with Google Wave a little bit with Brian Hewitt, and going to smoke a little bit more of my Illusione Holy Lance, and catch you in a few minutes. So sit tight, or just a second in video lapse time, but in either case, sit tight. Alright, well, it's about time to take a look at the first third of my Illusione HL, my Lancero. As you can see, the burn line's a little funky. The ash doesn't hold on very long, ½ inch to 3/4 of an inch, and it generally drops off without much force. And the reason being, most likely, is because of the 40 ring gauge. It's the diameter of the cigar is just so small. There isn't a whole lot of bulk to hold the ash, and I wouldn't expect this cigar to hold an ash, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, like you would, say, a Robusto or something similar, as far as a thicker ring gauge goes. The smoke volume is fantastic. The draw is perfect, getting lots of smoke. It's very dense, easy to get through the sinuses. Very, very flavorful. It's got a very interesting flavor. The primary component is just your natural Nicaraguan tobacco flavor. It just has Nicaraguan tobacco just tastes like Nicaraguan tobacco, and that is the core of this cigar. The really interesting part of it for me is it's got a very unique sort of peppery spiciness, and I guess it leans more towards pepper. If you've ever had Louisiana hot sauce, as opposed to like that cayenne pepper sauce stuff, the Louisiana hot sauce tends to be a little more flavorful. It doesn't have the bite that the other stuff has. This is similar to Louisiana hot sauce in the sense that there's some spiciness there, but there's some pepperiness there, but it's very light. It's not aggressive at all. I don't know. It's flavorful without being bitey, if that makes any sense whatsoever. In terms of body, it's medium. It's smoking very, very well, despite, you know, being a little wavy. It's performing well. I haven't had to touch it up at all. Smoke volume's good. Smoke time is good. All in all, you know, I'm just really enjoying it. So, with that said, I'm gonna smoke some more of my cigar, play around with Google Wave a little bit more. Get all caught up on everything else that I'm behind on, and I'll be back. We'll take a look at the second third of the Illusione HL, and we'll see if there's any progression, or if anything changes. Alright, well, it's about time to take a look at the second third of my Illusione HL, Holy Lancero, and there isn't a whole lot to say. I'm really enjoying it. Flavors are fantastic. In addition to that interesting sort of pepper / spice flavor that I was getting before, I'm getting more of a woody tone, or a woody flavor now, as well as sort of an earthy, leathery component. The cigar really seemed to come alive in the second half, or in the second third, as you get to about the halfway point of the cigar. Things just get deeper and richer, and the flavors just seem to pick up a lot of complexity along the way. The body doesn't pick up much. It's still very medium, middle of the road, not too mild, not too full, just a good solid medium bodied cigar. Finish is easy on the palate. It's smooth, easy to get through the sinuses, doesn't cause any burning or stinging sensation. Some cigars that are overly peppery have a tendency to kind of sting as you retrohale the smoke, get it through the sinuses. Some people are a little more prone than others to get watery eyes and things like that. With this cigar, I'm having virtually no issue. It feels very crisp, very clean through the sinuses. Doesn't leave any foul aromas or sensations across the back of the throat as the smoke sort of wafts up and around and back out again. As far as the burning characteristics go, it is straightened up a little bit. It's not so wacky or wonky, however you want to describe that. It's relatively straight. It's a little thick in spots. The ash is more or less the same. Holds on for about a ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch before it easily falls from the cigar. The ash itself is tightly compacted. It holds its shape well, doesn't flake or flower or anything like that. It just all out comes off. And that's the only way it really makes a mess. You know, you don't have to worry about little bits and pieces of ashes all over the place. When it comes off, it's going to come off in one big chunk, and you'll just have to deal with one big chunk. Not necessarily something I would smoke in the car because of the strength of the ash. Even though it's not going to blow all around your car and whatnot, it'll come off in one big chunk. But again, because it falls off in such a small segment, you may end up focusing a lot on the cigar and keeping it over the ashtray in your car and whatnot. Volume of smoke is fantastic. Draw is excellent. A little bit of resistance to it. All in all, just really enjoying it. So that about covers the second third. So sit tight, I'll be right back. We'll take a look at the final third of my Illusione HL Holy Lance. I'll wrap up the review and let you be on your way. Alright, well, I am back, and it's about time to wrap up my Illusione HL. I'm going to smoke it down a little bit further, but it's beginning to get a little warm on the fingers. And as a result, I'm going to have to smoke it slower. And sometimes when I do that, I need to touch up the cigar a little bit, so just better to wrap up the review now while the cigar is burning properly and I'm not running into any issues with it. As far as the construction aspects or the burning properties or whatnot, the burn line is relatively thin and even at this point. Just looking at it to double check. The volume of smoke is excellent. Lots and lots of dense smoke, easy to get through the sinuses, very thick, coats the palate very well. The finish has got a nice creamy texture to it. It's easy to get through the sinuses. It has a clean feel to it. It doesn't leave you with any lingering, just ill aromas or tastes as the smoke, expels the mouth and begins to subside. In the body department, it's still very much medium. Just a good, solid, medium-bodied cigar. In terms of flavor, there hasn't been a whole lot of change since the second third. I'm getting woody flavors, sort of an earthy, leathery combination. A nice, rich, really complex Nicaraguan tobacco flavor. It's got a nice little bit of an edginess to it, or that Nicaraguan zing that Dale Roush likes to call it. And I still have that very interesting sort of peppery, spicy combination thing that's going on. It's not like a really bitey pepper. I don't know, it's very subdued, laid back, and I like it, and I like it a lot. All in all, I really enjoyed this cigar. I think it's fantastic. Burns very well, tastes great, and at about $8 a cigar, I think it's about $8 a stick, I think it's a fair price to ask for this level of product or this level of quality and whatnot. All in all, I don't smoke a whole lot of Illusione product, and it's not because I don't like it. It's because I really can't get it in my area. I don't do much purchasing online, so I buy everything locally. Now, there is no Illusione account that I'm aware of in the general area of Reading. I've got to go all the way out to Gettysburg in order to get Illusione cigars. I guess I could probably drive, the hour and a half, 2 hours to Philly, but I don't know, I just prefer driving the 3 hours to Gettysburg if I'm going to go somewhere, on a little bit of a drive. This isn't my favorite Illusione cigar. This one comes second to the Epernay, which I'm going to do a review of that hopefully relatively soon. I got a couple of those sent to me from Big A Boyd on Twitter. Really appreciate the cigars. And I think that about does it. In a nutshell, really enjoyed this cigar. I think it's fantastic. You should definitely give it a try if you haven't already. Especially if you like Nicaraguan cigars that have a nice medium body to them. And I think you'll enjoy it. I don't think you'll be disappointed in the final result. So that about does it for the short ashes review of the Illusione HL Holy Lance. And until next time, happy smoking.